Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the morning show. A little bit different way of starting the show out this morning on this Monday post the Academy Award celebration last night. I heard Rihanna did a fantastic job in a performance. I just wanted to shout her out and show some love. Angela Bassett didn't win. It was all good. I thought Jamie Lee Curtis did an incredible job in the role that she played. And so shout out to all the Academy Award winners. For those of you guys that are just chiming in, let's just get this party started. Let's get this party started. Hey, let's get it. Speaking of back to life, Jennifer J is in the building. I am excited to see you. And she's grinning, Cherie. So that makes me smile. Hopefully you are feeling much better. For those of you guys that are just pulling up, do me a huge favor, and can you put your city, state, maybe the temperature where you are tuning in from? What does that look like for you? And let's get going. Let's go around the room. Jennifer J, Grand Rising, great morning. How was your weekend? How's your mouth feeling?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. You know, I haven't used my equipment in a week.
Your tech is teching.
I am good. My mouth is great. I'm great. We're great. My weekend was great. It's great. Oh, I am fabulous. I'm on fabulous.
Let's go. Let's get it. Great morning, everybody. Grand Rising. For those of you guys just pulling up, it's 58 minutes after 6 o'clock in the Merton here on the East Coast. Anika Good says, good morning from High Point, North Carolina. 36 degrees when she woke up this morning. High is going to be 52 in her neck of the woods. Elaine Forbes Daily says, great morning or good morning from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It's 76 degrees. We are loving it. I love it. Exciting to have everybody back on another Monday. Cherie, Grand Rising, how was your weekend? How was your evening, babe?
My weekend was good. We had baby girl on Friday all day, and she spent the night. We had a sleepover with the baby, with the youngest in charge, on Friday night. Saturday morning, I woke up. I think she gave me some cooties. So I wasn't feeling good Saturday. But yesterday felt much better. And this is my birthday week. I turned 58 on Sunday.
This coming Sunday.
It's
like in
birthday
6 days.
So
it's your birthday.
How old do you turn?
58.
No way.
Yes way. God is good.
All the time. I'm over here looking like the old man that robbed the cradle, right? It's terrible. People be looking at me side eye like, bruh, really? Is that what we doing, sir? It's like, hey, man, I like him young. Considering that Cherie is actually 18 months older than me, right? For sure. That's always funny. I love it. Grand Rising, everybody. Christine, you are in the building. How was your weekend?
Good morning, morning show. I had a good weekend. Busy weekend, but it was a good weekend. Yeah, I don't know what I did this weekend.
Look, it was a blur. It was such a good weekend. It was a blur. I love it.
Maybe that's a good thing.
Yeah,
right.
That's a good thing. Lena's home, so hung out with her. I was at the studio Saturday. Now it's coming back to me. Yeah, I'm knee deep in costumes. So, but I had a good weekend. No complaints at all.
Listen, when you knee deep in costumes, you know what I'm saying? Speaking of costumes, shout out to, is it Ruth? I can't remember her name. Won 2 Academy Awards back to back for Wakanda. So
the designer for Wakanda.
Yes, her name is Ruth. Yeah, she's amazing.
Golly. Like 2 Oscars. I think she's the only Black woman to have won 2 Oscars. So shout out to her. I love it. Let's keep going around the room. Rocky is in the building. Grand Rising Rock, how are you?
Good morning. I am well. My weekend was good. I replaced all my tires. no rims. I decided to be smart with my money. A little sad about it, but grown-up decisions don't always make you happy. Um, but I did. I had a Friday. We had a professional development with all the STEM leads, the STEM teachers, and I decided to continue teaching. You know why? Because there was only 2 African Americans in that room, and we were both female. So that said a lot to me and the community and how things are going. So I'm gonna keep teaching. They promised me my own school next year, so we'll see what happens. But just that, got my tires, got my daughter's hair in braids. She looks like me. I can't say that too loud. And that was pretty much it. Came home, relaxed, did some firework, and that was it.
I love it. You got yourself a twin there. I love it. So, Rocky, real quick, back to what you just said. Only 2 African-American teachers in the entire STEM school, or?
This is the STEM classes in the district from kindergarten all the way up to 8th grade. So there's about 15 of us and only 2 African-American women, yes.
That needs to change. Wow. I can hear, I hear your dedication there. Yeah, hopefully they get you your own school where you can kind of focus on teaching and not have to go through all the things. But yeah, well, I'm glad you had a great week, and I'm glad the Unilex is doing better.
Yeah, she's feeling much better. I just have to clean her now.
I saw your pictures. It looked like you was at a car show or something. I was like, well, the color on that thing looks like somebody, like it looked like a portrait. So it's just amazing. I love it. Gardy is in the building. Grand Rising, sir. The youngest in charge is pulling up. What's the temperature like in Cleveland, Gardy?
It's still cold, man. It's like in 30 degrees. But
he's like,
one thing I learned about Cleveland, man, it snows like in like the middle of the night or early morning, and next thing you know, the snow is gone by like the middle of the day, man. I never seen nothing like it before.
Hey, man, welcome to the land.
I know. Welcome to the land.
You get what I'm saying? Let me tell you something. There's all kind of strange things happen in and around them waters.
Nah, definitely, man.
It's a whole thing, man. Well, it's good to have you in the room today, sir.
Yes, sir.
We're going to get into this conversation this week, Gardy. I really, really want to hear from you. You was cutting up on Friday. If y'all did not hear Friday's show, you need to go back and listen, because Gardy was doing all the things, and I absolutely love it. Barbara, the super producer, is in the building. Can't wait to see your face this week, at least face-to-face in person, so we can hug next. Grand Rising, Barbara, how was your weekend? How was your evening?
Good morning. Yes, it's coming. So my evening and weekend was good. Very busy. We have some recordings going on today, so I've got to get ready to be on set live. And then it's just a lot going on this week. But it's been a good weekend. A lot got accomplished. So I'm ready for the week. And I'm ready for you guys to get in on Wednesday.
Yeah, I can't wait to see your face, Barbara. That's going to be fun. It's been a minute. But yeah, I love it. It's 7:05, guys. Welcome to the morning show. It's Real Lessons in Life and Business. Theme for the week, 360-degree health. When your mental, physical, business, and personal health all come together, it's going to be a whole situation. You guys stick around. We're still walking around the room. It's good to see everybody in the room. Elaine is here. James is here. Good to see the mad scientists in the building. Shout out to all our KBCN family. William, good to see you, sir. TM, what it do, bro? Good to see you, man. TM, where do you live? What section of the country are you in? Put it in the chat. Yeah, we gotta connect face to face this year, brother. I just feel like we need to see each other. See what happens. Dominic, good to see you in the building, brother. Tammy, Grand Rising, great morning. Dr. Pam, listen, you coming through with all the coins? Is that what that? No. Oh, snap, y'all. Dr. Pam done messed around and got a hold of some of that popcorn. Lord Jesus, Lamar Maurice. Huh?
She looked like she hooked, too.
Got her a whole basket. Dr. Pam, let me tell you something right now. You see Rocky already tearing up. That is addictive, lady. Oh my gosh. Well, congratulations. I see you got your hands on a boatload of them. And I don't know if you don't live in Richmond, do you? I'm trying to figure out how'd you run into Lamar Marie. Put it in the chat. Let us know. Can't wait to see you in Atlanta. Speaking of Atlanta, Bootstrapping Redefined goes down October 13th and 14th. If you guys haven't had the opportunity to get your tickets, you better make your way over while the early bird special is still specialing. You know what I'm saying? Because when it's not, it's not. John Schultz just pulled up. Grand Rising, sir. Good to have you in the building, my friend. How was your evening? How was your weekend?
Good morning. My evening was good. My evening was pretty good. Had a good weekend.
Awesome.
Yep,
Good. That's what's up, man. I know you running around, man. I can't wait to see y'all's face this week doing all the things. Nikki is in the building. Welcome to Clubhouse, Nikki. Grand Rising. Good to have you in the room. Hey, Gabby. Good morning. Dylan is in the room. Grand Rising, everybody. Y'all, we got a lot going on this week. It's 7:08. The room is taking its time to fill up. Did anybody catch the Academy Awards? And if so, what's some of your thoughts? Put it in the chat. Sheree, you clipping it up?
Hey, yeah, real quick before you go to that, I think that people are still dragging from daylight the switch. The time
Really?
change.
It's been a whole 24
I'm just realizing I'm
hours.
sitting here. I'm like, is it a
No.
holiday today or something? No, I think people are moving. They off today. They're like,
It's
what? Hold up.
setting in.
What time is it? Oh my gosh.
It's setting in right now.
Yeah.
Yesterday I was fine. To this morning,
Yeah.
it's a whole different story. I debated about coming to the room.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like,
Did
why
you
is it so
really?
dark
Wow.
still
I did.
outside?
I needed.
Got it.
I had to grow up. I had to put my big girl drawers on and get out of bed because I did not want to get up. Yeah,
Lord
it's setting in
Jesus.
now.
Right.
You know,
There's no
Got
hint,
it.
there's no hint of daylight at all yet.
That's what it is. That's what it
Ugh.
is. Anybody else in that boat?
Yeah,
Put
same
me in the
here.
chat.
The sun isn't
Really?
up in Cleveland either.
Got it. All right. Well, I'm trying to figure out why the room was starting off so slow. Yeah.
Because you're not a house.
You said what, Rocky? It's because what?
I said it's because you're not a house.
It's because I'm not a house and not a home. I don't understand the reference,
Your
Rocky.
club isn't turned into a house yet. You know,
Oh, it
houses
has.
are dominating. So
Ah, got you. Yeah, well, this is the first time that I've seen it move this slow. So I'm not sure if it's just that, but yeah, I don't know. You know, I'm sure they'll make me a house at some point. I've been on so many different pages right now, Rock. It hadn't even mattered really. But yeah, I ain't mad. We're gonna keep it going. Gabby, good morning. She just chimed in. Oh, okay. I see you, TM. TM says VA and ATL. So I guess you're going back and forth. Yeah, bro, we got to grab dinner, lunch, something. I got to meet you face to face, man. Rocky, have you ever met TM in person, like flesh to
I
flesh?
have. Jim came down to film me when I was launching my Fedora and my merchandise business. So we had a whole video shoot at my friend's house, and he came down to do it for me.
I love it. Yeah, we got to meet.
But I will say he's either still in Virginia or he just left, because I talked to him last week and he was in Virginia, Coach. Just telling on him a little bit.
Just telling on him. Your secret is not safe in these streets, sir. I love it. Okay, so yeah, I think it is the daylight savings time thing, Rock. Tammy is ain't talking about. We still sleep, bro. Like we TM fussing with you, Rock. He talking about how you gonna be all up in my business? Just telling all my stuff. Listen.
I want to know, how does that body feel? Do you feel tired, more tired, or less tired?
So for me, I'll be honest with you. I did have a rough night's sleep, but my sleep is inconsistent. That's one of the reasons why I'm excited about talking about this week. I got a brand new CPAP machine. I've been on no meat for the last 11 days. I feel better physically than I have in a very long time. It's just that for whatever reason, my sleep is just always off. So I got up at about 2:30 this morning, couldn't get back to sleep till about 4. And couldn't turn my brain off. And I'll be honest with you, like when I'm waking up in the morning, I'm looking I'm looking at the ceiling, thinking about the week and all the stuff. And then I'm finding myself grinning at myself, Jen, because I'm excited about something. Or Then I thought about, oh, I got a new camera. I can't wait to use that. Like my brain just was like doing all the things. So I don't know if that's associated with, if I'm allowed to associate that with that. Anybody else?
I didn't even know it was daylight savings time until about 6 o'clock yesterday. Because the dogs was in my face and I was like, oh, okay, it's time for y'all to eat. I go downstairs like, no, it's not. So, you know, if you operate on digital clocks, I didn't know the difference till I got downstairs and looked at the stove like, wait a minute. Look, I've been out of it for a week. I feel like I've missed a whole week of my life.
Listen, and Rocky, I ain't messing with you. I saw you. Rocky's like 2, 3, 4, 8 things. That's how I be feeling, Rocky. It's a new day today, though. 7:12 minutes after 7 o'clock. Anybody else chiming in? How was this daylight saving times for you? Are you weirded out already? Has it thrown your clock all the way off?
I don't like it.
You don't like it, Shereen?
I don't like it.
Okay.
I don't like it being dark in the morning.
It's not necessarily the time, it's the environment kind of a thing.
And then it just throws you off at night. I mean, you lose an hour and you don't think an hour makes a big difference, but it does to your body when you're on a set schedule.
Yeah. Well, it depends how you consider loss, because it's just a transition. But y'all say you like the hot and the heat, but you're gonna have more daylight. It's just a transition. You'll be all right. You'll be all right. You're gonna be all right.
I don't like it. I don't like
There's a debate going around in the country whether it should go away or not. In some states,
well, some states, 6 of them have already. They don't do it.
Yeah, and they're gonna.
Georgia almost got it, but it missed it by like 2% of the vote.
Yeah.
Well, Biden
I like daylight saving because I like hanging out outside after 6 o'clock. I don't like it dark at 6.
But the question is, should it fall back or should it stay? That's the question. Like, if it's
I think it should fall back and then stop.
I think it's awkward that certain states have it and certain states don't.
Extremely awkward.
Yeah, and on top of that, we have different time zones. Like, that's so weird to me.
Very weird, Rocky. Yeah, Arizona, I don't think has ever adhered to it, ever.
No, it don't change. All I can think about is all these Zoom meetings I'm gonna miss because everybody on different times.
Listen.
Right. That's why I'm thinking about Panama. I needed to fall back so we're on the same time. Everything on the East Coast is on the same time as Panama. Yeah, I can't get stuck on this time because I don't like this.
So yeah, now that we've sprung forward, Panama is an hour behind us. So for half the year, it's caught up. If we if we fall back in the fall, then we'll be on the same time. So that's what Sheree's talking about.
Oh,
anybody else?
Oh, I was also saying Biden has a bill he's trying to get passed that it will eliminate it across the country, but I'm hoping they approve it after it falls back.
Yeah. Don't hold your breath.
Can we just talk about y'all moving to Panama? Like, I've heard it like 10 times, but I wasn't like sure. So you posted it on Facebook the other day. Y'all are moving.
So Rocky, here's the thing. And Rock, this kind of opens up the door to a whole nother conversation. And this is even with people in our family. Like, if you know me and I say something out loud publicly, to know me is to know I'm serious as a heart attack. So I'm like, my family's still thinking like, so y'all serious? What part of that didn't you think? Like, I'm telling the world this. So I don't know. Yes, Rob.
I didn't think it was this year. I thought it was like 2020.
Oh,
not 2020.
Rocky thought she had time, Sheree. That's what.
And so, actually, if I can share and kind of segue us in to today's topic. So,
absolutely.
Part of the reason we have decided to move to Panama is partially for my mental health. I suffer from social anxiety. I suffer from America anxiety. I'm gonna call it that. Just all the violence, all the negativity here contributes to my anxiety. Every time you turn on the TV, somebody got shot. There's always something negative going on. So when we went to visit Panama earlier this year, it was the first time I, in over 3 years, did not feel any anxiety. There was a sense of peace. There was a sense of calm. The environment there was, I could definitely tell the difference between the feeling of oppression here in the United States, and I did not feel that there at all. I felt totally safe. The people are nice. I'm sure there are nasty people. There's nasty people everywhere, but culturally, the people are positive. There's a very loving, a very open feeling with the people. And so it's not because it's warm and sunny. It's not because it's tropical. It's none of those things. It's really because I felt at peace for the first time in over 3 years. And since I've been back, I have really, really been struggling with my anxiety because it's like everything is heightened now. And so because of that, that was the primary factor in us moving. We had been talking about it as it being a place we would eventually retire to. But when we went, it was like, no, we're going back, and we're going back soon, because I can't keep living in this bubble that I live in and being fearful. I want to be able to live life. And, you know, like I said, I'll be 58 on Sunday, and I want to enjoy the rest of my life in peace and not have to be worried about some stuff happening every day. And so that's why today we're going to be talking about mental health and why that's so important, that we take care of ourselves mentally. Whatever you need to do for yourself in order to ensure that you're mentally healthy, do it.
That part. And if anybody knows me, listen, we ain't got but 2 rules in our relationship. You're not allowed to die, and you're not allowed to leave me. So she ain't going nowhere. And I listen, Jennifer J, Shereen come on talking about I'm leaving you if you want. She wants. I'm like, yeah, okay, no worries. Hold tight for a hot second. Let me pack my bag because I'm going with you. Let's go. So yeah, no, I absolutely love it, and yeah, it's a real thing, and I get it, Rock. I think that a few people we know were like, we thought you might be serious, but not like right now. And so, no, we've been researching it for 3 years. That's what people don't know. And so when we went and confirmed that this thing actually checks all the boxes, let's do it. And let's do it now.
I can resonate because I want to go back to Japan for that same reason.
Yeah, I get it, Rock. And so here's what I'm going to encourage you to do. And I'm going to use this as an opportunity to segue into our conversation for today. Listen, if you are feeling like there is a better way of life, better quality of life out there for you, I'm going to encourage you to put together a plan to go get that. Like, let's stop, guys. And this is something I think all of us do. I know I've done this, where you get the hoping and the wishing and the praying. Many people talk about, you know, boy, I could get used to this. Really? Do you really mean that? Then why wouldn't you put together the steps that it takes to go get used to that? Right? I want to have a life that I don't have to vacation from. And then it dawned on me, Jennifer, I said, it is actually possible to create a plan to execute on that. And here's the other thing that I realized. You ain't got to be in the top 1% earners in the world to do it. So that excuse is off the table. Gardy, you clipping it up like it's crazy. You know what I'm talking about, right? Let's go. Like to shout out the week's sponsors for this week, Premier Biz System. Jennifer J is the founder and CEO of Premier Biz System, an all-in-one business management and marketing software solution where you generate more leads, free up your valuable time, and increase your sales. Guess what, guys? Without having to run ads or post on social media. If you want to get an opportunity to talk to Jen, please book a call today. Her link is at the top of the room. Let's go ahead and change the name on that, KBCN. Drop the E on the bin. That was my fault. You dropped the E. I can see Jennifer's face saying they got it wrong again. That's my fault, Jen. I didn't change what I sent to them. So, guys, take the E off the end of the name. But it is Premier Biz System. Jennifer J, we call her the Premier VA. She's amazing at what she does. And, guys, let me just say this, and I'll just kind of let you know this. If it's not for what Jennifer do, we couldn't move to Panama. Let me let that breathe right there. Part of the reason that we're able to do some of the things that we do is because of the kinds of systems that we have built into our company. So we're not going to retire. We're going to work every day like we currently do. It's just that we will do it from that destination. If you as an entrepreneur are super busy and you're crazed out and you don't want to or can't or not interested in doing all that stuff yourself, Jennifer's company could probably be a solution for you. She doesn't fit everybody, so everybody don't get to work with her because you may not be a fit, but it might be worth just you reaching out. Jump on a call with her and see how she can help. Click the button at the top of the room, and then we will go from there. So I want to segue really quickly, y'all. This is going to be such an incredible week. I've been really itching to get to this week for a while now. The beginning of last week, we started talking about the idea or the need to talk about the health of the entrepreneur. And I thought about this word, 360 degrees. Generally, when you think of that word, you think circle. You think complete, you think turnaround, you think a complete metamorphosis. And I want you to think that to turn 360 degrees is to make a complete turnaround. And unlike, I do know that technically you're right back where you started. I don't want you to think of it that way. I want you to think of it as you have turned a corner. And now, quite frankly, you're a new person. What would it look like if your personal, if your business, if your professional, like if all these mental, physical, business, and personal health, what would happen if they all came together? Cherie and I have been working for quite some time on our personal development. We met each other 20-some years ago on that kick, if you will, and it's become habit. When we started out in business 8 years ago, we made some very, very strategic moves to position ourselves to do some amazing things. And now it's starting to come to fruition because we've been consistent at executing on those goals. Mentally or physically, I'm getting to the place now, John, I am finding my rhythm. I'm finally, after years and years of trying a bunch of different things, I'm starting to find a rhythm, Christine, where I can live a lifestyle of consistent, healthy choices, healthy eating, and things like that in terms of my physical well-being. Mental is something that is a daily thing that I want to talk a little bit about today. And we're going to talk a little bit about mental health. I'm going to pull some principles from my guy, Abraham Scully, who is a member of our MAPS Relationship Academy. He and I met years ago in the same business community. He's an author. He's a national speaker. Just did a documentary for MTV and some other people doing some amazing things. He wrote a book called Unlearn the Lies. And Cherie, we're going to get that link to the people here in a little bit. But Unlearn the Lies, it's a guide to reshaping the way that we think about depression. And I want to pull this apart by starting it here. One of the lies that we tell ourselves is that suffering from depression is a sign of weakness. And in order for us to be able to create, and we're going to talk about that before the week is out, talking about habits and creating habits, I think we have to dispel some myths. And so let's talk about mental health. Some of the things that you might be doing to nurture and to prioritize it. Maybe it's some things that you've discovered. Maybe it's some things you've been doing for years. And I want to start there, and then we'll kind of narrow this conversation down a little bit. For those of you guys who are just pulling up, let's share the room if we can really quickly. Go to the square at the bottom of your device. It has an arrow at the top. Click it. There's 4 drop downs. Click the last one that says share on Clubhouse. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to just put something in the chat. I'm going to put Mindset Monday pull up, and I want you guys to do that. Yeah, I want to talk about a mindset. I want you to talk about a mindset today. And when I say a mindset, in other words, my mental health or the state thereof has become a mindset that now I'm consistently walking in and I'm aware of. It wasn't always that way, because I was the person that said, because I don't have a mental health disorder, if you will, I don't suffer from mental health disease of any kind that I know of. I haven't been diagnosed for any, bipolar and depression and anxiety and all the things. It doesn't mean that I'm not affected by it. And I think that if we're not careful, we can say, well, that ain't me. And before you know it, you're now suffering from things that, quite frankly, actually look like something. So I appreciate y'all for clicking that link at the top. Make sure y'all go get this book. It will bless your life. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about something called unlearning the lies. And first of all, I want to talk about this. Lie number one is depression is a sign of weakness. Let's talk about this from the top down. Anybody clip it up. Let's go. If you got something you want to share on this, come on, Cherie, let's get it.
Yeah, and I've actually heard this lie before. Because as well as, do I sound okay? Sound like I hear feedback, but okay,
yep,
good.
Sound good to me.
I also have, had depression as well as anxiety. And I think a lot of times, particularly in our culture, in the African American culture, the mindset is just get over it. You're going to be okay. It's not a big deal. And you're made to feel, whether people say it verbally or not, that there's something wrong with you, that you're weak if you can't handle the stresses of everyday life. If, you can't handle all of the things that stress brings with it, all of the different traumas that you've been through in your life, you're supposed to just shake it off and just keep moving, especially as women, especially as Black women. We're supposed to be, superwoman. We're supposed to be able to handle everything that comes at us like we are, superwoman, like we have this armor on us that we don't feel anything. And that's so not true. Just like with any other type of pain, if you get, somebody steps on your foot, you feel that pain. You're not supposed to just shake it off. Pain is a warning sign to your body that something's wrong. And so the same thing mentally and emotionally, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling there's something wrong, there's something you need to pull back and figure out, what is it? This weight is too heavy. We're not designed to be beasts of burdens, but our culture has taught us to carry everyone's burdens, carry everyone's load, and we're supposed to just keep carrying it, and it's not supposed to affect us. And that's not true. So mental depression is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign that typically you're overwhelmed. It's a sign that it can be a sign of an actual biological imbalance, but there's something you need to pay attention to it, and you need to see, is there something really going on here that's causing me to feel this way? Also, just want to add this piece. Being depressed is not the same as just being sad. And people get that confused. Well, everybody's sad. Everybody's been depressed. It's not quite the same. Think about being sad. It's not even being sad. It's sinking into a dark place where you can't come out, is what depression really looks like. And if you've never been there, you really don't understand. But it's more than just being sad. It's a sadness that never goes away, I guess is the best way if I'm going to equate it to sadness. And so it's not something you can just move on from, because you can't. And that's what makes it depression. You can't do it on your own. You get to a place and you just get stuck. But it's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign typically that you're overwhelmed, that you've been carrying too many burdens. You got too many things, too much weight on you, and you can't get it off yourself.
Listen, really quickly, we're going to go around the room, guys, and I just want to unpack this just kind of gingerly at first, and then we'll kind of drill down on some things. And I'm going to, I tried to put it in the back channels here on KBCN, but it cut it off because I have too many words. But Cherie, I'm going to send you what we're going to call a mental health checklist, okay? And I want you to, we're going to eventually go through this at some point this morning. And I kind of want to talk about it. If you're in the audience today and this is your jam, meaning you are a therapist, you are a counselor, you help people navigate through this, you are a professional, you do this stuff for a living, I certainly want to encourage you to come up on stage today. I know that I invited Abraham, the author of this book, to come through. He wasn't available today. We are going to talk about this book, but I want to talk about it in light of, how we can help people navigate through it. Because one of the things that I realize as an entrepreneur, when the entire burden of responsibility falls on you to do anything, it can overwhelm you. And before you know it, you can slip into places that, quite frankly, you don't want to be in, or it becomes difficult for you to navigate. Anybody else got any thoughts around this? Again, it's a Mindset Monday, real lessons in life and business. And we're talking about what would it look like? What would it look like If your mental, physical, business, and personal health all come together and they're working for you at any one time, what would that look like? And today we're drilling down on mental health. Unlearning the Lies. It's a guide to reshaping the way that we think about depression, a book by Abraham Scully. And we're going to unlearn some things today. So we're talking about depression being a sign of weakness. Anybody have any thoughts on this? Come on, talk to us. Come on, Jen.
Yes, good morning show. I just wanted to state from the purview of someone who cares for someone who has depression and being on the other side of that. I haven't had any depressed moments. I do know that certain things will make me depressed, so I stay away from them. But learning and understanding that my child suffered from mental health issues, that she suffered from depression, gives me a different view to understand what happens in those states and how to be supportive. And I think from society's standpoint, like Cherie said, people say things like, oh, just get over it. You will figure it out. And a lot of times that's not true. And it's not a fair statement because everyone is different. Everyone deals with things differently. Everyone has different issues that you can't even think about if you don't have them. I can't even think about what someone who suffers from depression or mental illness goes through because I don't have those thoughts. So it's not fair for me to make those blanket statements or to make those statements. So as a people, we need to really, really think about the things that we say when we say things like, oh, just get over, oh, you'll figure it out. They can't just figure it out. And it's your job if you're a caregiver, a spouse, a sister, brother, close friend to understand. And the way that I understood it was I said, listen, I'm gonna go to therapy with you so I can understand. And so my questions to the therapist was, how can I support? And if you can't go to therapy with that person, ask that person, how can I support you? Because they'll be able to tell you that how to support them and listen to them when they say it. I yield my mic.
I love that, Jen. I love that. Rock, definitely want to hear from you as well, guys. Let me just reset really quickly. It's 7:34. If you're just pulling up, welcome to Real Lessons in Life and Business. It's a Mindset Monday. Today, we're beginning a new series, and we're calling it 360-degree health. What would it look like if your mental health, your physical health, your business health, your personal health all comes together? How powerful would you be? In order for that to happen, you got to work on them one at a time. And today we're drilling down on the idea of mental health, unlearning some of the lies. There's 7 lies that we tell ourselves. It's characterized in the book, Unlearn the Lies, a guide to reshaping the way we think about depression by Abraham Scully. If you want to get a hold of that guide, click the link at the top of the room. But the first one is that depression is a sign of weakness. As Coach Stacy would say, that's a lie. Come on and unpack some things from your perspective, Rocky. Come on, talk to us.
Yeah, I used to think that depression was a weakness, but I think a major factor, and this isn't always the case, but mostly the case that people miss is that it's literally a chemical imbalance in your brain. So it can be, based off of trauma. It can be, a lot of that stuff, but some of us got it inherited from our family, from our genealogy. It's a chemical imbalance, and it's something that you either have to get medication for or therapy for. So it's not, it's something that you have to live with. Like, I tend to say that my depression is a superpower of mine because I learned more about myself and its self-awareness. Does it suck? Yeah, absolutely. It's not the best thing in the world. But at the end of the day, you have to dig into the root to figure out what is causing it and what's going on with it. And a lot of times for the depressed person, it's hard to do so because, we are in that state. So helping someone, or, the one thing you don't say is just cheer up. That's horrible. But like Jen said, asking, how can we help you? What is it that you need to do? But most importantly, when you see this, having them go to a doctor, because most depression leads to something else. It might be bipolar depression. There's so many categories of depression, and it just might be a chemical imbalance or something that can be fixed to help you live a better lifestyle.
I love it. I love it, guys. Listen, we're going around the room. Anybody, and guys, whether you have, and again, I'm similar to Jen, although I've not been diagnosed with any sort of mental health disorder, I certainly have gone through it with people, particularly my wife. And for me, that education was huge, Rocky. That education was huge because in my mind, I'm literally the person who said, just snap out of it. Like, what's wrong with you? And I didn't realize how much damage I was doing years ago. That was just damaging because if you are that's like telling somebody who is fallen in a well where there is no ladder, just jump out. Like, why are you crying? Bruh, there's no way out of here. I don't know the steps to get out of this well. And it's a very real place mentally that lives in your head. And I think that sometimes that insensitivity really is just, it's because of ignorance. Like, I just didn't know. And I didn't know any better, and I'm doing a bunch of damage. Christine, you are clipping it up, and then we'll jump back up to Cherie. Come on.
Yeah, so I've never dealt with depression in my life. However, my youngest son, he's had bouts of it. A lot of it stemmed towards him watching a lot of his friends take their life. They took their own life because they dealt with depression, and so it caused him to wonder, was life worth living, and going through those avenues. So what Sean and I had to do is we had to educate ourselves on what depression was. He's never been clinically, diagnosed with it, but he's shown a few signs of going down that road. But more importantly, what we've had to do with him, as well as all of our children, and my youngest son is 21, by the way, and even myself, we've had to strategically guard our peace. And because of that, we've had to eliminate some things out of our life. Something that Jen said, she said she had to avoid those things that may trigger something in you, that may cause you to sit in it. And recently, my youngest son, he went on a dance battle, very first time in his life. And so prior to him getting to that, he doesn't do well with disappointment. I mean, disappointment happens in life, but there are certain things that trigger him. And so because of that, we had to have some very strategic conversations with him about the various outcomes of what could happen, whether he won, whether he lost, whether he think things were fair, and no, it may sound trivial, but it's extremely important to be intentional about how we walked this walk with him. And it's constant. Him looking for a career. And we talked about it Friday on parenting, him looking for how he's going to live his life and what that looks like. And if you can't be kind of flippant with it, coach, and say, oh yeah, go get a job. Oh yeah, go do this or go do that. And thinking that that's the cure, because that's what society tells you. Once you're 18, go get a job, go do this. But not understanding or not educating yourself that there is more to it than just that. And so we are very strategic in guarding our peace and our family's peace, very strategic in having those open conversations. And I think that's where it starts, having those open conversations with your family members when you see the signs. But how will you know you see the signs unless you educate yourself first, which is what we've had to do and what you've done, Coach, and what Jen has done in order to help those around us. And I'll yield there.
No, Christine, and I know, Cherie, you want to chime in on that. I just want to stay there for a moment. I can't stress enough how important it is for you to really educate yourself when you are in a relationship with anyone who suffers depression, anxiety, bipolar, whatever the mental illness might be, if it's schizophrenia, that is not something to joke about. And I think that when we were growing up, Christine, we thought it was a laughing matter. We thought that people was tripping. Lie number 2 says, I can pray depression and anxiety away. If you grew up in church, then you just thought that you needed more Jesus. And I'm telling you right now, the level of insensitivity that often is found in church is purely based on cultural miseducation. And unfortunately, and let me just go all the way here, there are people's lives who are literally hanging in the balance at that very moment. How many times have we heard people say, oh my God, in retrospect, now that I understand the signs, I see where years ago they were crying out and I didn't know. Now, that's not to serve to make you beat yourself up, because you didn't know, you didn't know. And so you got to let yourself off that hook. You didn't know, you didn't know. Okay, we get that. But what I want to encourage us to do is to learn more, get to know better so that we can do better. Because here's what I can promise you. We're going to continue to encounter this over and over again. And one day it may come visit you and you would pray that somebody would be able to help you and notice that for you. Sheree, I know that you are clipping it up. I see you, baby. I see you. I see you, boo. I see you. Come on, talk to us.
Yeah. So the whole pray thing. Now I do believe that prayer plays a part in all of our lives. If you are, if you're spiritual, if you believe in prayer, it definitely plays a part, and it can give you a sense of hope. But hope alone, when a person is clinically diagnosed with depression, particularly if it is, well, whether it's from trauma, but particularly if it is gosh, I can't think. Rocky just said it. When it's a chemical imbalance, there's something physiologically going on. Just like we can pray for healing for other things. Yes, you can pray for healing, but there's still a part you're supposed to do. Prayer alone does not work with depression. Prayer alone does not work with mental disorders. Prayer alone doesn't work alone with physical disorders, but I'm not going to get into that. But prayer is a part. It will help you gain a sense of hope or give you somewhere to hope for, because depending on how far you're in depression, even that level of hope won't pull you out of your hopelessness. Sometimes that's where medication is needed. Like Rocky said, sometimes it may be, therapy is needed, whatever it is. But I think the church, and this goes back to the African-American community, because I can only speak about that because I am Black. We have this thing that either the whole just get over it, or just we're going to just pray about it. It's going to just magically disappear. Number one, God doesn't work like that. He's not a genie that we just rub a lamp and he just comes and does what we tell him to do. There's a part that we're supposed to do in every situation. It's not like we just give it to him and then walk away and leave it. And the way the church has, particularly with mental health, we're going to just pray over you and it's going to go away. Baby, you don't need, we just going to pray. Prayer alone is not enough. I'm not saying that prayer isn't a part, because I can honestly say there was a season where when I was in a really bad going through a depression season, prayer did help me to get out of it. Prayer did help me to eventually even get off my medication, because it helped provide me some stability. But notice I said help me get off medication. I had to be on medication for a season. I had to go to therapy for a season. It was all things working together. It wasn't just I was going to pray this away and it was going to just go away. And I think that sometimes the church, we use God as a genie in a bottle and think that we can just pray something away and he's just going to poof, do what we say. You know how many people on this earth that he's looking over? And also I think that there are times that, in any situation, not that he necessarily allows it, but there's something we're supposed to get out of it, whether that's us getting to know ourselves better, whether that's building, improving our relationships with our family, if that's us getting help, seeking help outside of him. There's something more to do. And so that's one of the worst things you can tell a person when they're depressed. Baby, just pray about it. And you can pray for me that I get the healing that I need, but the healing might mean me going to therapy. The healing might mean me getting medication. The healing may not be just me praying. And I know that miracles do happen, but in most cases, people don't get over depression just by prayer alone.
So guys, really what I'd like to do, it's 7:46, 46 minutes after the 7 o'clock hour here on the East Coast in the U.S. I'm Glenn P. Brooks Jr. Welcome to Real Lessons in Life and Business. Today, it begins a brand new series that we're going to be talking about 360-degree health. When your mental, physical, business, and personal health all come together. Today, we're starting the week off drilling down on mental health, and we're pulling some principles out of Unlearn the Lies, written by Abraham Scully. If you want to get a copy of that book, please feel free to click the link at the top of the room. Let's make sure we're sharing it across all platforms so that everyone can get a hold of that link. But lie number 1 says depression is a sign of weakness. Lie number 2 says I can pray depression and anxiety away. And lie number 3 says I can recover from depression by myself. Anybody got anything they want to chime in on this? Your personal journey with this, whether you're going through it, whether you are a supporter of someone who's going through it, what does that look like for you? And let's unpack this. I'm really interested in the audience's participation, y'all. And I'm saying this because I do recognize that this is a really sensitive subject. Not everybody feels comfortable in talking about it, but I do want to create a safe space where it's okay for you to share, particularly some wisdom. If you're one that goes through that, what are some things that you need people to be able to do? Tangible stuff, practical stuff that we can do every day to help not only you, but others that suffer through this. I see that Tammy's on stage. Cherie, can we go to Tammy first and then we'll come back to you? Tammy, are you in a place where you can talk? Did you come up on stage on purpose?
I am. Good morning.
Good morning.
So, a couple of things. I suffer with depression, mostly anxiety. But I also noticed it in my younger son in particular. And one of the things that I did, and I'm really kind of commenting on something Christine said, I'm sorry, that Jennifer said, is that when she said, ask them how you can help, and when possible, go to an appointment with them. But I want to take it a step further. What I did with my son when he was struggling, and I'm going to suggest family members do this when possible, because there were things that I noticed, but I also know my son isn't a big talker. What I did was I made an appointment with him, and this is what I mean. If his appointment was 10 o'clock, my appointment was 11 o'clock, or opposite. And I partly did that for 2 reasons. One, I didn't want to use his time for me to talk. I also didn't want to be in his appointment. But I wanted the therapist to get a full view of what was going on. Most employers offer EAP services. And with those EAP services, they're actually very generous, meaning if your employer offers them, you get 6 to 10 free visits per issue per person. And I want to say it like that because if after you exhaust your 6 or 10 free visits and another issue pops up, related or unrelated, you can get more free visits. So I just wanted to put that out there as another option and another way. The other piece that I want to say is if you are dealing with someone who's dealing with depression or anxiety, do your best to listen more so than ask and tell. Asking is fine, but be strategic in what you ask because sometimes when you're asking too many questions, it puts more pressure on the individual. And I'm done speaking.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Rocky, come on. That's
Yeah,
good.
I'm so glad Tammy said that because with depression, it's great. I think that people really need to understand the best way that I can symbolize depression is imagine you sitting in a dark room with no lights, no family, no friends, and you're praying and you don't even feel like God hears you. Like you're literally there by yourself. And sometimes when you are checking on somebody, or it's a ton of people checking on you because they're concerned because that's what they tell you to do, it can be overwhelming. And most importantly, it can come off a little bit as fake when you haven't built a relationship with the person enough for them to check up on you. Because it seems like from the inside out, it seems like they're just checking the block because that's what they're supposed to do. And I think, at times, especially when there's like a group, either a group of people or a family of people, having one or two members check in with that person and asking, is it okay if I check in on you? Is it okay, if I, come see you every once in a while? But letting the family know that I'm going to be the person to do this versus it being a ton of people, because it can be very, very overwhelming. And Tammy, I'm so glad you brought up the programs, because there's a lot of, especially since COVID, there are a lot of mental health programs that you don't even have to pay for, to include those at the urgent care sometimes, that you can just go to or just call. There's phone numbers, there's all kind of different things. But most times it can be overwhelming, and people need to kind of realize that as well. So as a community, discuss within each other what you can do. And it's not always a talk. Sometimes it can be just a visit without you asking, are you okay? Sometimes it's like, let me just sit with you and let's watch a movie. Or do you want to go to dinner? Or do you want, it can be anything of the sort without pinpointing what is wrong with that person.
Ooh, that's good, Rocky. That is really, really good. Cherie, again, chime in. Just want to reset really quickly, guys. We're talking real lessons in life and business. It's a 360-degree health week. What does it look like, or what would it look like if your mental, your physical, your business, and personal health all came together? Today, we're drilling down on mental health, pulling out principles from the book Unlearn the Lies, a guide to reshaping the way we think about depression. Lie number 1, depression is a sign of weakness. Lie number 2, I can pray the depression and anxiety away. And lie number 3 is I can recover from depression by myself. Shree, you got anything you want to add?
Yeah, I really appreciate, Tammy sharing her experience with her son. And that's something I think, and Glenn, you did this, later on as the family member, as a spouse, as somebody who has someone in their life who is suffering from mental health. I think it's essential that you not only research, but I think it's a great idea for you to go to therapy as well, because the effects of someone else going through depression or anxiety or any type of mental health issue has an effect on you. And learning, you may not be going to therapy because you're struggling, but to be able to go to the therapist so that you can understand how to respond to them, how to work with them, how to, create an environment that's safe for them. My parents, for most of my life, I've suffered from depression since in my early 20s. They were like, you're okay. Ain't nothing wrong with you. You're all right. So recently, my dad is terminal, and approaching his end days. And my parents started going to a social worker through the palliative care program. And my mother, they went to one session, and afterwards she told me, because I had been going with them, I didn't go to this session. And she shared with me, well, it was so good just sitting there talking to this lady and getting all this stuff off my chest. That's what therapy is. Oh my gosh, I should have been doing this for years. And so the last time I went with them, we were in the session and she was like, okay, you can leave now. I'm like, oh, okay. And so when I left, she was like, I just had to share some of my, some things, I'm concerned about you. I was like, well, you could have shared that with me in there. I was like, but it's fine if you felt comfortable doing it. She was like, I just want to make sure that the stress of all this isn't too much for you. And I was just telling her, how I felt. And I felt like we were putting so much on you. But not to say that my mother suffers from depression, and she has dementia, but there have been seasons when she has been depressed, but she's never gotten help because that's just not what you do. But seeing her in her 80s decide now, I'm going to go to therapy. I'm going to go sit with somebody and talk and get this stuff out so that the weight of all of this is not so heavy. It's encouraging to me because it's not an age thing. It's never too late to do it. I think we have to get rid of this idea that we have to carry all this stuff that is ours to carry. And you just keep carrying all these loads, all this stuff, all this weight, all this trauma, all these things, and not recognizing that it affects you. It affects those around you when you don't deal with this stuff. You're on mute, Glenn.
Oh, here we go. Can you hear me now? So you said something just warmed my heart, and I'm not sure who this is on LinkedIn that just chimed in. I believe that may be
It's
Nora.
Nora. Yes.
Nora, do me a favor. When you chime in on LinkedIn, for whatever reason, unlike everyone else, I can't see your profile. Just put it's Nora speaking or whatever, because as we have more people chime in on LinkedIn, I don't want to ever assume. But she said this: using your platform to discuss mental health is so helpful. We don't see many who look like us safely discussing this topic. The church, unfortunately, has largely failed us in this area, as the idea as to pray it away. Like Cherie said, prayer is a part of the solution. Y'all are great, and thanks for discussing this. What warmed my heart about what you said, Cherie, first of all, it's the first time I'm hearing that mom said that, and that she's concerned. But one of the things, as we grow in these last 8 years, so that y'all understand, we moved from Atlanta in 2015 to Hampton Roads, specifically to build community for our in-laws. We did that on purpose to create community for them when we found out that their issues mentally, physically, just were declining, right? And so we said, well, what would it look like to proactively at least get people around them? And so when we did that, our daughter and our son-in-law and the grandbabies, they all moved here as well. So we converged on the 757 for their benefit. Since then, we have been highly intentional about their care. Today, we've now moved our in-laws, my in-laws, Cherie's parents, into her brother's house. And so it's helping us to better handle their care. We recently went away to, and we do a family trip every year. We get a house on the beach. This time it was Nags Head, Outer Banks. And what was funny, my 85 at the time year-old mother-in-law rode on the back of a Wave Runner with me. And for the very first time, she did something that exhilarating. And she calls me son. And while we were out, and we were out probably for a good 25 minutes or so, she said, I am so glad that you're here. And I would have never done this with anybody else. And there is a level of comfort that people have. And Rocky said this: when you intentionally build a relationship with people, it will cause them to open up to you in ways that they normally wouldn't. I want to encourage you guys that when you are, if you notice these signs, I want you to let that be a sign to you that I need to get a relationship with this person. I need to make sure that even if I'm in relationship, that I shore this relationship up. And the reason why is because you're going to have an opportunity for them to share. And if not, you will not get to hear what Cherie heard, and then ultimately I heard. And then I hope y'all are following the bouncing ball here. This really rises and falls on relationship, and I think that's huge. Come on, Rocky.
Yeah, I was gonna say that warmed my heart entirely. I have to tell you, when you never know, and this goes back to kindness all the time for me. You never know what people are going through and experiencing it, because it's only in those times where they feel it for themselves that they'll express these things. I'll give it for an example, Christine, right? So when I went to, do y'all remember when I traveled to Alexandria and I was going to the Tony Jones concert? That concert for me was a revival for me, because I was deeply depressed, anxious. I didn't know what was going on. And I'm like, I just need to get away. Like, that was me running away. So when I called Christine and I was like, hey, do you want to go to lunch? That in itself, and then her ability to want to do it and sit down with me, and we had a great time, that in itself was enough to save me, because she took the time out of her schedule. She just left practice. She didn't have to come see me, but for her to just do that openly and just come sit with me meant everything to me. So you never know what people are going through and when, and then it's just a testament to being kind all the time. You don't have to be a rude person, or you don't have to, like, just watch how you are with people, because you never know what they're going through, and you never know what means the most to somebody because they don't always tell you.
That is so good. Being kind all the time. Put that in the chat. What does it take for me personally to be kind all the time? I can be kind even when I'm angry. The Bible calls it being angry and sinning not. Just because I'm angry don't mean I have to cuss you out. Do y'all understand that? Like, what does it look like? And this is rhetorical. I want y'all to think through this week, because I think that could not only level up your own mental status, but it certainly can help position you so that when a person wants to open up, they'll open up to you because you're kind, because you're safe. We'll go Christine and then Tammy. Come on.
Thank you for sharing that experience, Rocky. Did not know how that played out or why it played out in your heart and your life. And so thank you even for sharing, opening that part up. And so I had a question, but it was actually answered. And my question was, how do we support people? How do we create that space for people to feel comfortable in sharing? And you all have said it is the relationship part, and the part when you told the story about your mother-in-law, being on the Wave Runner with you, you created that space, your entire marriage, if you will, for her to feel safe with you. And we are, even us, this Mod Squad, we create space for each other. And that is so important, that we are intentional about, even though it's a business, but we're doing it intentionally. Everything that we do is intentionally. And that's my word for the year. And I realized that's what it takes to make sure that, because I don't know that you're going through something unless you open up and tell me. You may not show it on your face. You may have a smile. I think Tiff said it earlier in the chat that she went on vacation with her family, wore a smile the entire time, but that's not what her reality was. But if you are in real relationship with people, the opportunities will present itself. So I just wanted to thank you all just for being so transparent and opening your heart and sharing that, because that helped and also educated me on how I can move forward. I yield my mic.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. Cherie, and then we'll go to Jen, and then I want to introduce the next lie so that we can get it, because there's so much more. By the way, y'all, I'm bringing these principles, or the Unlearning the Lies is coming from the book Unlearn the Lies. It's a guide to reshaping the way we think, written by a client turned friend turned family. Abraham Scully is an amazing human being. And he wrote this book about his personal experiences in college. And shortly after graduating and getting married, he basically dedicated his life to helping college students articulate what's going on in their head. And that's why he couldn't be on with us today. Traveling the globe, like speaking in all the different forums, did a documentary on MTV recently, and just helping young folks really be able to put words to what it is that they're thinking. So pick up the book if you can. It has changed the lives. If you're in the audience and you've read this book, put me in the chat. If you're in the audience and you got this book, put me in the chat. And I'd love for you to maybe chime in on, literally how this has helped you. So we'll go Cherie, and I think Jen, and then now Tammy. Come on, Cherie.
Yeah, and you kind of just touched on what I was saying. So like Abraham, he focused on helping young adults in college to discover how to express how they're feeling. There's something, and this goes also to what Christine and Rocky were saying, I think relationship is key. Oftentimes when a person is depressed, they don't have the words to express where they are. But this is where relationship comes in. If you're in real relationship with this person, you'll notice when something's off. And you're able to address the elephant in the room, even if they can't express it. And it's not, hey, are you depressed? But are you okay today? Is everything okay? Do you need to talk? But when we're so busy with our lives that we're not really paying attention to the people, even in our own homes, because we're caught up on our own agenda, we're not paying attention. We don't ask those questions, because when a person really sinks into depression, they may not have the words to share where they are, and if you're waiting for me to say, hey, I'm depressed, you may not get that, but you'll notice that I've pulled back. You'll notice I'm not coming to events. You'll notice I'm not returning your calls anymore, or I'm not taking your calls. Those are signs that maybe something might be going on. And if you can't reach me, maybe reach out to someone in my house and be like, hey, is Cherie okay? I've been calling her for the last month and she hasn't been taking my calls. Is everything okay? And that might alert the person at the house. Really? She hasn't? Oh, well, let me check. Or they may already know, yeah, she's going through a little rough time right now. Just keep her in your prayers and, keep reaching out to her. Eventually she'll respond back. But what you can't do is what my experience has been, that I've had friends that have noticed I haven't called, I haven't answered, I haven't, I've ghosted them for all intents and purposes because I'm going through something. Then they just say, oh, well, I'm just not gonna call. She ain't answering my calls. I ain't gonna call her no more. That's not helping me. I'm not saying you got to call me every day, but know that every time I see that you called, it lets me know, oh, somebody's thinking about me. That could be the thing that day that pulls me out. It might not be every day. Because one of the biggest things when you're feeling depressed is a sense of hopelessness, feeling like you don't matter. And so if nobody's checking on you, you really feel like, I don't matter. Nobody cares because nobody's showing that they care.
That's good. Jennifer J., you were clipping it up. I know you had some challenges with your feed on KBCN, but if you're in the room and you can talk, certainly want to have you come through.
I'm
and
here.
Then Tammy, come on. Yep.
Yes. So I wanted to speak to, I know we were talking about depression. We touched on anxiety. So a lot of times we look at people and we think that they're strong. You're the strong person. You're this, you're that. You can handle it. You could do this. But you're strong until you're not. And there are things that happen. So in true transparency, in Cleveland, I was in a bad car accident, which in the snow blizzard. And in this accident, I didn't know at the time that it caused me anxiety until I started driving in the snow and driving, even in the rain. And I'll never forget, I was trying to drive to work, full breakdown, didn't know what was going on. I had to go to my doctor. He had to give me, I forgot what the name of the pills was to calm me down. And he was like, you're going to have to take this when it snows in the morning before you go to work. That is one of the reasons why I moved to Atlanta, because that became an issue. That became a huge issue that I never even saw coming. And so when I made the statement earlier and Cherie was talking about anxiety is real. Diamond, my youngest, who's in college, suffers from anxiety brought on by, like we said, all these things coming down on it. If school is not going right, if a teacher messes up, she has a full blown panic attack. If she feels like she's not in control, panic attack. And I was freaking out like, no, you guys need to check. I thought she was having a heart attack. I'm making them do EKGs, all of these things. And they're just like, oh no, you just need to breathe. No, something is wrong. Not just breathe. So that's another thing. You can't just take at face value what some not mental health, but I'm trying to say this right, whatever. Some doctors and nurses say. They're just saying stuff to get you out the door. You have to take the initiative to be like, nah, it's something else wrong. And she was already in therapy. And so coupled with her therapist and then me speaking to her doctor and then just trying to figure these things out and understanding the triggers. Because like I said earlier, there are triggers sometimes that make these things happen. So parents, make sure you're paying attention to your children, because I didn't even know it was something wrong with Taylor when she was younger. I missed that. I didn't know. And by the grace of God, she's still here and able to communicate to me what was going on with her. But you have to pay attention, just like Sheree said, you have to pay attention to people in your house. When something is off, you need to pay attention, even in the light of all the things that you may have going on with your business, you may have going on with your personal. It's still your responsibility to pay attention to the people around you. I yield my mic.
I love it. I see you, Rocky. I see you, Cherie. Tammy was in queue. Speaking of parenting, let's switch to her, and then we'll come up. I think it was Rocky, and then we'll go back up to you, Cherie.
Can you hear me?
I can, yep.
Okay, so I wanted to mention a couple of things, and I'm piggybacking on some of what was said. One, I once had a friend, and actually, Glenn, you know her, who hadn't been in communication with me the way she normally would. I knew her cousin. Her cousin had said the same. I knew a friend. Her friend said the same. I made it a point to go visit her for Thanksgiving. And lo and behold, what I discovered broke my heart. And basically, if I could just give it a description, this was someone who apparently suffered some type of, I'm just going to call it a cognitive issue, a neuro issue, and was barely functioning. And what the key for me was, this person was normally a very talkative person. However, I was only having 30, 45-second conversations, and that was it. Normally someone who I might be on the phone with for 45 minutes to an hour. Now, it was blamed on a spiritual issue. I'm doing a fast from the phone. Okay. But it went on so long, and I was so uncomfortable in my spirit. Long story short, I ended up bringing the person home. And one of the reasons that I'm making this point is, please understand that when these issues go on too long, they can be the start of a most serious cognitive decline, a neuro decline. So, as everyone has said, take time, talk to the person, try to be with the person. And when you're with them, you don't have to talk about it unless an end opens up to talk about it. But sometimes people need to feel love. They need to feel human life. They need to feel safe. And there are things that we can do. So please listen to your gut. If you're not going to be the person to intervene, please support the person who is intervening. Don't bombard the person, but do what you can when you first notice the signs. And one of the things I'll say about my son is, I do my best when I notice, because I don't want him to go to that dark place. One of the things I did with both of my sons is I would say to them, when we're talking, if I need to be quiet and just listen, you can say to me, Mom, I just need you to listen. And parents, I think that's really important, because we may not know when we're missing something that they want to tell us. One of the things I know about my younger son is he might start off talking about one thing, but the conversation is really going to go where he needs it to go. So parents, understand their pace, understand their habits, but most importantly, be available, be patient, be listening, and be genuine, because that's one thing that anyone dealing with this type of issue knows, is whether or not you genuinely care. Can they feel safe with you? Can they feel safe sharing whatever the burden, whatever the issue is? And sometimes we're going to look at it and we're going to say, oh, well, that's not a big deal. Don't say that out loud. You can say that to yourself, but then say to them, how can I help you with this? And parents, don't be the fixer, because we have to train them. The other piece I want to say is, please know that between the age of 17 and 24 is when most young people will have some type of issue. So what I'm saying is, if they're going to have an issue with anxiety, depression, it's normally going to show up between the age of 17 and 24. Most people don't know that. What's happening between the age of 17 and 24? Most are trying to figure out life. They're trying to figure out, what's the next step of my life. So parents, don't let go too fast. Don't turn them over to their own devices too fast. Even if and when they are making decisions that maybe we wouldn't agree with, hang in there with them. Thank you. I'm done speaking.
Appreciate that. Listen, guys, real quick, I want to reset before we continue on. For those that just maybe pulling up, welcome to Real Lessons in Life and Business. It's a 360-degree health week, not work week. We are working on some things. The question is, what would it look like if your mental, physical, business, and personal health all came together at the same time? How would that change your life? We've been unpacking today, as we're drilling down on mental health, a book called Unlearning the Lies by Abraham Scully. One lie is that depression is a sign of weakness. Another lie is I can pray my depression and anxiety away. Lie number 3 is I can recover from depression by myself. And we really have been unpacking what it looks like for all of us to get involved in the help. But 4, and I want to kind of deal with this, and then I really want to go to the next one. I can't recover from depression. I'm stuck. Like, that's a lie. It is possible to recover from depression. And one of the things that I noticed to be true, because I know people in this room who've absolutely have recovered. What could that look like? Let's begin walking people through that, and let's continue the conversation. I think it was Cherie, and then now Christine, and then Rocky looks like she had something. I see you down there, Renee. Let's do this, guys. Can we make room for our guests first, Cherie, and then go with Renee, and then we'll kind of continue with our regulars. Come on, Renee.
Good morning. Thank you, everyone. I just wanted to share two things. One from Abraham Scully, who I really appreciate his work and what he does in so many ways. But he teaches other young people, if a young person or their friend turns to them, how to handle that conversation. Because according to what he was saying to me, because I am a mom that has a child that has, he has mental health challenges. We all have to learn to live through that. But being able to be a team around him, a support for him, is key. So what Abraham is doing is amazing. First of all, equipping these young people how to, if a friend says, I'm feeling like I need to hurt myself. Well, for me, it was my younger son running to me and saying, Mom, my older son was saying he doesn't want to be here anymore. Y'all, they were playing. They were play fighting. They were just doing their thing. And that comment triggered something in him. And he came running, and it just unfolded an entire situation. I'll just put it like that. But also what it made me say is to take it serious, to address it. Immediately jumped up, immediately said, okay, what do we need to do? What's our next step? We had a plan. So you gotta also have a plan if you know that that's kind of what you're dealing with, even if you don't know how serious it is. And the second thing I want to share was that I did a questionnaire right after the pandemic, probably 21, and I put out there to people, and I said, what do you believe that our children should have a mental health day? And the feedback was 5% was like, yes, these kids, they need a legit mental health day. Like, they can say, I need a mental health day today and not go to school. 95% of us said no, them bus need to go to school. And I don't mean that disrespectfully, but I'm just saying, I spoke to some and I was like, oh, why'd you say no? some people that I know, like they're believers, but they know it's not just prayer, all of that. But they just felt there's such a thin line between, are they faking? Fast forward to today. Right now, I am in a battle with, spiritual battle, but it's a real battle. IEP battle. I had to leave out on Friday and go to an IEP meeting, and I have had to go up the line, do all the things, get all the doctors to verify that my child needs to have a certain type of school program wrapped around him so that he doesn't have anxiety so much, that it's not equal to the cancer patient or a child that has to have surgery. It's not equal, but it's just as important. And it is, let me tell you something. I had to invite someone to come in. I don't know the last time I had to have someone come to an IEP meeting with me, but I had to have someone else come in because I'm like, this has been hard. They are fighting me tooth and nail. I am dotting on my, I's, crossing all my T's, y'all. We're going to all the appointments. Even the doctors are like, no, he doesn't need to do this. He doesn't need to do that. They are coming back with, well, we think, and they're basing their decision on what they feel how serious it is when you have a child that's in their teens, in high school, that has a mental health. Oh, that's what teens do. And I will say, as an advocate for our children and mental health, all the things that we've talked about today are true. Prayer, we pray, but let me tell you something. You have to be willing to stand in there and say, this is equally important, because I would rather them have a day off. I would rather them have 1,000 days off than to have to for them to not be able to deal with life. They might not be on the same pace as another child. So hopefully that was clear. I just wanted to share that it's a journey.
No, that is absolutely huge. I'm trying to keep this thing in order, y'all. So many of you guys want to chime in on this. I think let's go back to the top. I see you, John, but Cherie was in line, and I think it was Christine right after that. Come on, talk to me, Cherie.
Yeah, I was going to just say that I do firmly believe that you can heal from any type of mental disorder, but it's a journey. It's not going to happen overnight. And what healing from mental health looks like does not necessarily mean that it goes away. You gain the tools, you gain the things to be able to live functionally with mental disorder, because you have to remember, a lot of mental disorders, it is a biological, it is a chemical issue. It's something that's going on inside of your body. It's not just something in your head. And I think that's where people get confused. People believe that mental health issues, depression, anxiety, a lot of these things, it's just something in your head. It's just something you can just get over. That's not true. There's something physiologically that's going on with a person when you're dealing with mental disorders. And so I think that healing does not mean that it goes away completely. And like I say, I have been dealing with depression since my early 20s. There are seasons when it gets the best of me. There are seasons when I'm doing really good. I've learned how to manage it. I guess is the better word. You can learn to manage mental illness. And I think that there are some forms, and I think Rocky put in the chat, like social, like a adjustment disorder, certain things like that you can fully get over. But a lot of them are something that you learn to manage and you learn to live with it, and you're able to have a level of functionality where you can still function in life in a lot of areas. And so I think that that's possible, but it takes time. It's a journey. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not like you're going to get a pill and it's going to just go away. There's still, a process to it.
Yeah, no, I get it. Christine, come on and chime in, and then I go down to John.
Yeah, when you were talking about that last lie that people think that they can't get away, heal from it or manage it, I think about my mom. My mom was a ordained minister in the church all her life, and she suffered with depression. And when we were children, she had already separated from my dad. She had gone to Ocean City, gone to the beach by herself, and later on we found out that she had planned to take her life. My mom was not a swimmer. She had planned to walk in the ocean and just let the ocean take her away. And she shared with us that she had gotten a letter from my oldest brother. She didn't know he had put it in her luggage. And so just saying, Mommy, I love you. Mommy, I love you. Can't wait till you get back. And, it had some other things in it. And she realized then that someone actually cared about her. Now, this is a child writing this letter, to her. He didn't know that's what was happening to her. None of us knew, but because somebody reached out to her, she then later on told us that, she had to go get therapy. She had to go get medication. Even in the church, like Corin was saying, the church, hides, they say it's a sin. So because she was that ordained minister, she thought that she could not heal from this. She thought that it could not be managed. And she was able to realize that it could be. She came back home, of course, and she got the help that she needed. She went to a therapist. She was on medication, even as a minister. And I wanted to make that point that we cannot continue to push this down in the church. I'll yield there.
I love it. I love it. I'm going to go right back, and I'm coming to you, John. We're talking about unlearning the lies. Lie number 1 is that depression is a sign of weakness. Lie number 2, I can pray depression and anxiety away. Lie number 3, I can recover from depression by myself. Lie number 4, I can't recover from depression. I'm stuck. And then lie number 5, to your point, Christine, suicide is the only way to end depression. Y'all, this is serious talk, and I'm taking our time here. And if we go all the way up to 9 o'clock, then so be it. Because I don't think that we create safe spaces often enough. And I just think this is so huge. One of the things I love about what your brother did, and this is funny how God will use people unbeknownst to them. Your mother just needed to know that she mattered. And what better way to hear that from a child unsolicited? Miles away, not by phone, like, for a child to think to write a note anyway is huge. But in a moment like that, it quite frankly, and I don't want to be melodramatic, but it saved her life, I'm sure. And I think that when we are in relationship, y'all, I am working on slowing down and paying attention. Like right now, let me just say this, even amid this conversation, can I tell y'all, it is everything in me to slow down and be patient with this conversation and process. The facilitator in me, the high D in me, wants to push this conversation, wants to cut people off so that we can allow more people in. I'm being really transparent here. But I have had to learn over the years, it is okay, brother, to just build in a pregnant pause. It is okay for us to sit in something for a minute. And that for me was something that I've had to learn, y'all, and it's still a work in progress. So when I deal with people who are challenged with this area, one of the things I have to do is recognize that I've got to be patient with them. And I got to work on that. John, come on and talk to me, buddy.
Yeah. So one of the things that we have helped shape my family is acknowledging each person kind of where they are. One of my daughters was labeled special ed in the early part of her life due to emotional disorder. So she had an opposition defiance challenge because she wanted to kind of do things her way. And so those early parts in the years from K to about 5th grade were challenging because we're trying to put her in a traditional grow up mold or model just because that's just the way you thought it should happen until we begin to find out and educate ourselves that if the desired goal is for her to get the work done, but if she desires to lay on the ground in the classroom to color, then we had to start fighting for her. Renee said it. We started fighting for her in her IEP meetings. That what is the result? Is it the result is to get learning done, or is it to be that she has to sit behind a desk to get it done? And so, for the most part, from K to 3, K to 3rd grade, we almost teamed up against her the schooling, and then us as parents not identifying what our child was saying. And what I mean by saying, she didn't really have the words, but her actions and behavior was indicating quite a bit that she wasn't going to go down that pathway. Didn't matter what happened or the consequence. To the point, she was already on a 12-step removal from school. So by the time she got to 5th, 6th grade, she wouldn't have been allowed to continue education in a traditional sense. So I think, and what we practiced and it worked for us, was beginning to identify the pathways for our children, to admit that there may be some challenges, right? Because we were in denial, not my kid, not my child, which she ultimately ended up coming out of it because we got her some help. So it is important that we advocate even when we don't understand. Not after we understand, even when we don't understand, I think we advocate for our loved ones or people that are in our lives. And I believe our adult depression or things that mental health aspirates and gets larger because they never got dealt with in a younger space because we didn't know what it was. We didn't know what to call it or identify it. So I just wanted to share that. It's still a challenge,
So
but it's
good.
easier to navigate life with my children now that we have an idea that some things that are unspoken are still being spoken.
Cherie, that is so good. John, you bless me, man. And I have a quick story that I want to share. Parents, when my son was in 10th grade, he had a conversation with me and said, Dad, for some reason, I feel like that I am done with school and I don't want to go back anymore. And I don't know what to do. And I will never forget this conversation. We were living in Atlanta at the time. We were sitting out in front of the dentist. He was just having his braces readjusted. And I said to him, and this is ignorant parent speak, well, son, you got to give it the old college try. You just got to buckle up and you just got to go after it, buddy. And you just got to get it done. You only have 2 years left and you can do it. John, it never dawned on me to research, even at that time, the options that I had at my disposal, listen to this, parents, to honor that request. What would it look like if he decided, or if we decided to support that by allowing him to go to school? And in that particular public school, he went to school in Gwinnett County. They actually had a portal where kids could learn long before online learning. That was an option for him. That was a straight option in a public school for him. It never dawned on me to listen. Well, I can promise you, post that conversation, the next 2 years was a living hell for us in the house, because he started going through some things that eventually he dropped out, went to Job Corps, got his GED. But it was like we could have avoided it having to go there from a place of, you just missing the signs here, bruh. Like the man is telling you. Kids just don't say that kinds of, and when you know them, you know when this is off or when this is strange, or let's research the possibilities. I just didn't know any different, and I wouldn't open my mind to think any different. Anybody else got anything they want to share?
Coach,
We'll keep
just
it
real
moving.
quick. I want to thank you. I know you just talked about how it's hard for you a little bit with your patients, but I want to thank you for your sensitivity this morning, because you have to be sensitive when you're facilitating this, because you can't gauge the input and the time. You can't, because you don't know where it's going to go. But I appreciate your sensitivity to allow us to get this out in a way. We didn't want to give our kids mental health days because we wanted them to quote unquote have perfect attendance. I take my kids out of school anytime because 1 or 2 days ain't gonna cause your grade. If your grade ain't where it's gonna be, it don't matter. You're there every day or no day. So there are times I'll just look at them and be like, they need a day. They don't even know. And I'll just say, stay home. Because perfect attendance ain't what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a kid that will want to continue to go back and fight again when they got enough strength. Thank you, Coach.
Bruh. Oh my God, listen, y'all. And Renee, one thing I noticed, even with you and the boys, and by the way, guys, this is how we talk in our Marriages and Parenting Successfully Relationship Academy. We go deep like this. And we have room. It's the platform that was designed on purpose for people to get it out. Like, that's the whole purpose of that community. And in that MAPS Relationship Academy, we have single parents like Renee. And Renee, one of the things I noticed with you and the boys is that you've had to really fight what John just said. And that is the whole idea of what's the real end goal here? Like, is the goal to toe the line and have this perfect kid? Or is the goal to meet them where they are and have a productive child? So no, anybody else want to chime in on this? Come on and clip your mic up. I just want to make sure that you're in a place where you can talk. This is just so necessary. Somebody was clipping their mic. I didn't see it. I thought I heard it. Come on, Sheree.
Yeah, I just was going to share that, we're talking a lot about, at home with your family and things like that. But also, I think there needs to be a level of mental health awareness, even in the workplace, in your business. You have to pay attention to people. If you have somebody who's productive and then they become non-productive, there may be something going on. Or if they start having an attitude, if their personality, something changes, there could be something going on. And it's not that you're going to go to them and be like, hey, are you depressed? No, you never go to a person and say that, but it may be time to bring them in the office and just be like, hey, just want to check in and see how are things going. How's life? How, is there anything going on? I noticed you seem like you've been a little overwhelmed. Is there any way that I can help? And not attacking people, because particularly in the workplace, if somebody's productivity changes, we go straight boss mode, and now you're not meeting your quota, you're not this. Did you ever stop to think, number one, they're a person, they're a human, and there could be something going on in their life that's contributing to that. We always used to joke about, people coming on a job and going postal, which we don't joke about anymore because we've seen it more and more happening today. But those situations that happen when someone comes into the workforce, with the gun or whatever the situation is, it starts somewhere. A person just wake up one day and decide to do that, and everything's been fine in their life or been fine on the job. There was a trigger. There was something that happened. There was something going on, bubbling underneath that led to that. And a lot of times it gets to that place because nobody addresses the elephant in the room. You see that this person is acting different, and y'all just ignore it. Try not to bring DC in, y'all.
That's hilarious.
Y'all just ignore it. Y'all don't pay attention to it. You walk past this person every day and you notice that they're off eating lunch by themselves, and y'all just ignore the person. Nobody goes over and say, hey, can I sit and have lunch with you? Are you okay? Is everything okay? Those are signs that something may be going on. It may not be mental health, but it could be something. If a person changes, if you notice a change in a person, that's when you want to address it. You want to, show them that they mean something, show them that they're valued. And oftentimes that will help stem a lot of that stuff, because you're able to catch it early and can help them to get the help that they need if they need help. But when we continue to just ignore people because it's inconvenient for me, I'm fine. That's just dumb. That's when things continue to boil and simmer, and it leads to something else. And one thing, oftentimes, even with these mass shooters, people always say, he's such a nice person. He was always to himself. He was always quiet. I never saw anybody go over there. Did you ever wonder, why does he not have any friends?
Listen, Sheree, that is huge. you are making this next point, and I just want you to continue in that vein. But number 6 lie is no one really understands how I feel. That's the 6th lie.
Right. And that's the biggest thing as a person who suffers from depression. You feel alone. You feel completely and totally alone. You feel like the people that you know love you don't care. And logically, you know they do. You know that your friends care. You know that your family cares. But when you're in depression, all of that, it doesn't compute. You feel like they don't care. I mean, I've gone through seasons where I question whether my own daughter cares about me. This is a child that I gave birth to. And I know she cares. But there have been seasons when I've gone through where I've really struggled with, does she care about me? Do I matter? Logically, I know I do. I know I make a major impact in her life. I have all of her life. I know that I matter to her. But it makes no sense. And it's hard to express that to people and tell them that you feel that way, because then it's like you feel crazy saying it in the first place, because it's like your logic saying, no, don't say it, don't say it, don't say it. But how you feel is totally different than how you think, if that makes sense. And so when nobody pays attention to you, when you're going through those seasons, it helps to further foster that narrative that's going on in your head that nobody cares.
And
sometimes it's just, I just need somebody to ask me, hey, how are you doing?
But Coach, how do you work on that when you're on the other? How do we support that? I have a challenge with that. Help us.
Yeah. No, let me tell you something that I did. And and one of the things I did it a little earlier today. I practice self-awareness out loud. Put that in the chat. Emotional intelligence, many of you guys, if you've ever studied the subject matter, know that there are 4 components that make it up. You have self-awareness. That's just one. The other is self-management, right? So when you are aware of something, the question becomes, how do you manage it? For me, I had to be aware that talking about something that I couldn't fix was irritating, and I didn't want to talk about it. So if you have an issue that I can't fix, I don't want to talk about that, because my nature is to help you fix it. So what's frustrating is for me to continue to nurse and rehearse that whole scenario. That ain't helping you. It's helping me because I ain't talking about it, but doesn't help you. So to your question, John, one of the things that I had to do is I had to be out loud with my self-awareness. And this is how it would go. Cherie, I am really sad that you're going through something. And oh my God, I really want to be able to help, but I don't know how. Is there anything that you can think of that you need from me when you go through that? And one of the things that Cherie used to say, and it took me a minute to get this, and she said, well, I don't need you to do nothing. I just need you to be there. See, this is counterintuitive to most humans, and that is that I'm solving a problem just by being there. That's counterintuitive, because in your mind, you think, well, I ain't doing nothing. So clearly this is unproductive. Can I tell y'all, production doesn't always look like putting your hands to something. It doesn't always look like putting your hands to a plow. Sometimes production can just be there. Cherie talked about it earlier. Sometimes it's the text that they don't return that they see that says, you know what? This is the 14th time they text me this week. One thing I know for sure, they love me. Because they're not allowing my ghosting them to deter them from reaching out. So what I had to learn was, A, be self-aware out loud and tell my wife where I was at and how I am heartbroken that you're going through this. And oh my God, I want to help make it go away, but I don't know how. What can I do? And when she began to unpack, well, it ain't for you to do anything. It is for you to just be my husband. And as her husband, you know what my job is? My job is to love her. If I go to 1 Corinthians 13, it says love is patient. Love is kind. It doesn't boast. It doesn't keep a record of wrongs. It doesn't return good for evil. It believes the best. It hopes the best. Y'all hear that? So for me, what she was saying is, babe, all I need you to do is to literally love me. And let's stop letting the culture define for us what that looks like. Let's let the creator of it define that for us. God is love. And how does he show it? Because he is kind. He is long suffering. He doesn't give us what we deserve, but he has grace and he extends. What he's saying is, if you do like I do, she's going to be fine. And this is where it became easier. Now I started seeing stuff, John. So now if I pay attention to Cherie, because I'm present, because I'm loving her and I'm being patient with her, well, I can see when she's low. And I'll look at her and say, you good? And now we have a little language and she's like, not really. Is anywhere I can serve you? Not really. I said, okay, well, I'm going to be right here. If you need me, I'm right here. And I don't leave. I don't get up and roll out, especially if I know she's low. I don't get up and just go do all the things. Sometimes I'll call Maria and say, Maria, can you do me a favor, reschedule the rest of my day? I just want to hang out with Cherie. Would you like to go for a ride? Yeah, I think I would like to do that. I said, yeah, a little vitamin D ain't going to hurt nobody. And we'll just go for a ride. I didn't have my whole. Now, many of you guys are sitting there saying, oh, like that's how you thinking and feeling. Y'all, can I tell you, I've been married to this woman for 24 years, and I probably didn't get that right for the first probably at least 17 or 18 years. It took me that long to figure this one out. So I hope that my transparency is answering that question for you, John, and for anybody else in the room. That's what for me, that's what it looked like. It's like, listen, literally love them. And if you do that, I think that a lot of that stuff will take care of itself, Cherie.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add this one part you said, and then I think it's Christine and then Jen. Don't try to fix them or fix the problem. We don't need you to fix us. We just need to know you care. We just need to know that we are valued. We need to know that we matter, that we're seen. And that's one of our code words. My code words with Glenn is like, I need to know that you see me. Make me feel seen. That's how you help me.
Ooh, I want to go to the chat really quickly. Karen, I love this. Karen said, instead of asking a question, how are you doing? Ask a different question, because doing related to action. I'm not sure if I read that right. Because doing related to action, that's what the average person would ask. Instead, ask people how they are feeling today. So how you feeling today? Another way, really quickly, y'all, and this is something that I know they do with children often, is that they'll have flashcards. It'll look like a stoplight, a traffic light. What color are you on today? If y'all ever notice, I'm going to tell you, I do this every day with Jennifer J. Every day. I do this every day with the mods. I don't know if y'all have ever noticed this, and it's not unintentional that I do this. Because I don't know what happened through the course of your evening, before we get this party started and before we started jumping into our normal day-to-day business, I will go around the room and check in. So how you feeling today? How was your evening last night? I do that on purpose. And with Jennifer J, we kind of have a little running joke, and you guys have been in on it. It's like, so are you on F today, Jen? That is a equivalent of me saying, are you on red, green, or yellow? What light are you? Where are you? And what it does, it's really easy to say I'm on red. Like, I'm just like in a holding pattern. I'm on yellow. I'm just kind of cautious. I'm moving with a little bit of trepidation today. I'm on green. It's go. Green for Jen is F. Now, people think, and we play with it all the time, say, uh-oh, Jennifer J is in here dropping F-bombs. And F for her is fabulous. So much so we started stealing that. The reason why I talk like that is because I don't live in Gen City. We don't come to the offices together every day. This is the first time I'm getting a chance to see her face to face. And if she's not on a call, I'm concerned. And then I'll say in the private in the chats or in our private messages to the team, hey, somebody do me a favor, reach out to Jen. She's not here today. Just checking. Does that make sense, y'all? So I have learned, and this kind of goes back to what John was saying, like I've learned to just incorporate certain habits in my day that causes people to feel felt and check in. Corwin said, it's like when a person you love passes. There's nothing a person can say that will make you feel better. If it feels good to have, it feels good to have you there going through with me. 100%. It's one of the reasons why I've been calling Corwin the last couple of days, blowing his phone up. And I've been patient because, he's going through a little something. But that's my guy. And I just need him to know that his brother is thinking and praying about some stuff and walking with him in this. Sometimes it's just enough to know that they're there. There is no conversation. There's nothing to be said. And I think it helps when you got people in your life like that can ride with you. Anybody else real quick? And then we're going to drop because I know some of y'all are keeping score talking about he only gave us 6. I know he said it was 7. I don't have a book. I want to know what is the 7th lie that we be telling ourselves. I'm going to give that to you, but come on, Christine.
Yeah, I just wanted to add when you were talking about being there for her, also being there and being present. And to answer John's question from my perspective, not just being present, but being present without your own agenda. That means you're putting yourself on the back burner to be present for this person. When you said you would call Marie and say, hey, clear my schedule, that's being present with no agenda, or putting a time clock on your presence. And oftentimes we put time clocks on being present with somebody. I have this much time for you, so we need to get it fixed. Like Tiff said, her husband's a fixer, my husband's a fixer. And he had to understand that being present means I need you 100%. Whatever's on your mind, I need you to stop what you're doing. And that's where the love comes in. You love me so much, you love me, really, really love me, that you are going to be present so that nothing else matters. Go take that drive, even in the rain, even on a cold day, even on a hot summer, even if the air don't work in the car, we getting in the car, we going for a drive. So because I am present, I may not be able to fix the situation. I may not be able to give you a remedy, but just because I am there, just because you are there for me, makes me feel better. It makes me feel like I actually matter. So I just wanted to share that perspective.
Listen. I am telling you, y'all, this is a thing. It's 8:53. Y'all want me to give you the last one? You want me to give you the last one? Put yes in the chat. Put me in the chat. Put a 1 in the chat if you want me. Some of y'all are taking copious notes over here. We're unpacking Abraham Scully's book, Unlearn the Lies, and just kind of going down the 7 lies that he lays out when it comes to what we tell ourselves around depression. This is actually a guide to reshaping the way that we think about depression. Number 1 is that depression is a sign of weakness. Number 2 is that I can pray depression and anxiety away. The 3rd lie is I can recover from depression by myself. The 4th one is I can't recover from depression. I'm stuck. The 5th lie is suicide is the only way to end depression. The 6th one is, and we just talked about this, no one really understands how I feel. And the 7th one is once I come out of depression, I won't go back. Once I come out of depression, I won't go back. As Stacey Schultz would say, that's a lie. And it goes to what Cherie was saying earlier. Y'all, this is a process. This is a journey. And so this is one of the reasons why, again, to go back to doctors, when they prescribe a medication, they want you to take it. And some medication, quite frankly, doesn't work until you've gone through a whole, quote, regimen of it. Like steroids, for instance, when they put you on, like you got to take the whole pack before this thing starts actually working. And people like me will take 3 of them and be like, I did my job. It's like, bruh, he told you to do the whole thing. And so, no, I think that this is something that absolutely needs to be talked about on a regular basis. And I don't know, anybody got anything they want to share along those lines? Because I think this has been such a rich conversation.
Sir.
Come on.
May the Lord give us grace to be patient with the loved ones that are living with it. May the Lord give us grace for the loved ones that are learning to live with it. May the Lord give us grace that we be sensitive enough to understand how to speak to it. And may the Lord give us grace that we know when to be quiet. And all these we ask the Lord Jesus Christ for his grace.
In the town, but when I feel like I'm losing this fight, consolation from heaven comes clearly to me to remind me that nothing else matters than seeing you, Jesus, seeking the Master, the one who reigns over my life. Nothing else matters.
Listen, if today has blessed you all over more than anywhere else, put me in the chat. I just want you guys to understand that as a community, we care about you. We've been unpacking these lies that we tell ourselves and unlearning them a little bit. If the book is something you do not have, I'm going to encourage you to add it to your collection. Go to the link at the top of the room if you're here on Clubhouse. Go ahead and get the book by Abraham Scully, Unlearn the Lies, A Guide to Reshaping the Way We Think About Depression. For those of you guys that are streaming live with us, maybe you're watching us on LinkedIn, on YouTube, or maybe even Facebook, we'll put it in the chat there for you, and hopefully you'll get an opportunity to get it. Y'all, let me say this. Nothing else matters than you getting whole. And all week this week, we're going to be talking about when your mental, physical, business, and personal health all come together, what does that look like? What does that look like? And is that something that you can achieve? And I think it is. I think that, quite frankly, we just need to intentionally work on it. And it's rooms like this, conversations like this that we create that allows us to be able to think through that. At the end of the day, you can't get to any place of significance by yourself. And the reason why that is, I need everybody on stage to share. It's because we all need some
Jesus, oh Lord, seeking the Master, the one who reigns over my life.
Sing it with me, y'all. Come on now. Nothing else matters
than seeing you, Jesus. Just to sit at your feet, hear your voice release, lift me out of the for in you I believe. It reminds me that nothing else matters.
Yes, God. If you are someone that you know is struggling with thoughts of harming yourself, I want you to call 800-273-TALK, 800-273-TALK, or text 988. You matter. You absolutely matter to us, to those that know you in real life. And I want to thank you guys for joining us today for the morning show. We'll be back tomorrow, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for Teach Me Tuesday. Our girl Tessie is in the building, and she's going to be pulling up, so it's going to be an exciting day. Y'all come on through. When the music ends, so will the room. Y'all be good, and we'll see y'all tomorrow.
No,